His Divine Grace Ave Channaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधारा श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय, मथुरा धाम की जय, नवदीप धाम की जय, श्री जगन्नाथ स्वामी की जय, यमुना माई की जय, सामवेद भक्तवृंद की जय, निताई गौर प्रेमानंदी। All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Pastaya Bhutle Srimate Bir Krishna Goswami Niti Namne Namo Hamsa Nikashaya Prabhupada Priyayate Surita Shuddhi Nishtabhem Tasya Vakya Anuvadine. Good morning and Hare Krishna to everyone. Welcome to this morning Srimad Bhagavatam class at Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Temple, North Sydney, Australia. Welcome to all our Mayapur TV viewers and also online viewers on ISKCON Sydney YouTube as well as Facebook. So this morning we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 1 and Text 42. The title of this chapter is Questions by Vidur. So, it's very hot here in Sydney today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nasta Prayashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Okay, so text 42. Soham Harir Marta Vidambanena. Soham Harir Martya Vidambanena. Drisho Nannam Nirnam Chalayato Vidahatu. Drisho Nirnam Chalayato Vidahatu. Nanyo Palakshaya Padavim Pashadach. Nanyo Palakshya Padavim Pashadach. Charami Pashyan Gata Vishmayotra. Charami Pashyan Gata Vishmayotra. Soham Harir Marta Vidambanena. Soham Harir Martya Vidambanena. Drisho Nirnam Chalayato Vidatuhu. Drisho Nirnam Chalayato Vidatuhu. Nanyo Palakshya Padavim Prashadach. Nanyo Palakshya Padavim Pashadach. Charami Pashyan Gata Vishmayotra. Charami Pashyan Gata Vishmayotra. Soham Harir Martya Vidambanena. Soham Harir Martya Vidambanena. Drisho nirnam chalayato vidatuhu. Drisho nirnam chalayato vidatuhu. Nanyo palakshya padavim pasha dach. Nanyo palakshya padavim pasha dach. Charami pashyan gata vishmayotra. Charami pashyan gata vishmayotra. Okay, so the words. Sa aham, therefore I. Harir, of the personality of Godhead. Martya, in this mortal world. Vidambanena, without being recognized. Drisha, on sight. Nirnam, of the people in general. Chalayataha, bewildering. Vidatuhu, in order to do it. Na, not. Anya, other. Upalakshaha, seen by others. Padavim, glories. Prashadat, by. Okay, just. By the grace of. Charami, do travel. Pashyan, by seeing. Gata Vishmayaha, without doubt. Atra, in this matter. So we've got the translation and the purport here. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So translation. I am not astonished at this, having traveled all over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others. But I know of His greatness by His grace, and thus I am happy in all respects. So we'll repeat that. I am not astonished at this, having traveled all over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others, but I know of His greatness by His grace, and thus I am happy in all respects. So we've got the purport here. Although he was the brother of Dhritarashtra, excuse me, Vidur was completely different. By the grace of Lord Krishna, he was not fooled like his brother. And thus his brother's association could not influence him. Dhritarashtra and his materialistic sons wanted to falsely lord it over the world by dint of their own strength. The Lord encouraged them in this, and thus they became more and more bewildered. But Vidur wanted to achieve sincere devotional service of the Lord, and therefore became a soul absolutely surrendered to the absolute personality of Godhead. So he could realize this in the progress of his pilgrim's journey, and thus he was freed from all doubts. He was not at all sorry to be bereft of his hearth and home, because he now had experienced that dependence on mercy, on the mercy of the Lord, is a greater freedom than so-called freedom at home. A person should not be in the renounced order of life unless he is firmly convinced of being protected by the Lord. This stage of life is explained in the Bhagavad Gita as Abhyam Sattva Samshuddhihi. Every living entity is factually completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord. But unless one is in the pure state of existence, he cannot be established in this position. This stage of dependence is called Sattva Samshuddhihi, or purification of one's existence. The result of such purification is exhibited in fearlessness. A devotee of the Lord, which is called Narayanapara, is never afraid of anything because he is always aware of the fact that the Lord protects him in all circumstances. With this conviction, Vidur traveled alone, and he was not seen or recognized by any friend or foe. Thus, he enjoyed the freedom of life without obligation to the many duties of the world, which is nice. When Lord Sri Krishna was personally present in the mortal world, in his eternal blissful form of Shyama Sundar, those who were not pure devotees of the Lord could not recognize him or know his glories. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanum ashritam. That's Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 11. He is always bewildering to the non-devotees, but is always seen by the devotees by dint of their pure devotional service to him. So that ends the purport to this text. Canto 3, chapter 1, text 42. So a little bit of Mangal Charan. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sva Padantikam. Vandeham Shri Gurum Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavanishwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this particular shlok is talking about when Vidur, who is the incarnation of Yamaraj, but he's taken birth as a result of a curse by a rishi, because he had wrongfully punished this rishi for doing something that at the age of 8, which is not recognized as a punishable act. So he had wrongfully punished this rishi, and so as a result he had a curse where he had to be reborn in this material world. But in actual fact, Vidur, it was his desire to be born on this planet while Lord Krishna had advented. Of course, Yamaraj is one of the 12 Mahajans, so he's a pure devotee of the Lord. And this was arrangement because there has to be some kind of arrangement made for certain activities to take place. So this was his particular Leela, where he was born on this planet. And his main desire, obviously, was to spread the holy names of the Lord. So he wanted to go out on Sankirtan. So Yamaraj had a desire to go out on Sankirtan and spread the holy names of the Lord. So he took birth. And as a result of him being a minister for Dhritarashtra and his demonic sons, mainly Duryodhan, he was insulted in that kingdom. And because of this insult, he was obliged to leave his home and his hearth. So here in this shlok, he is wandering. He went on pilgrimage, so he's wandering here and there. And as this purport explains that Vidur, obviously Rama Yamaraj, is Mahajan, he was able to go on pilgrimage fearlessly. That's a very very important aspect of being a devotee of Lord Krishna. You will find that most devotees, we have a lot of Sankirtan devotees here in Sydney. They go out on book distribution and they go out on Harinams, even despite the corona restrictions. They go out chanting and distributing books fearlessly. Fearless, like soldiers. That is the mark of a devotee. And why they are fearless is because they are 100% convinced that Lord Krishna, or presiding deity here, Lord Gopinath, is protecting them. And of course, they are doing this in service of Gopinath, Sri Radha Gopinath, and they're doing in service of their Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. So here, Vidur is wandering around in pilgrimage fearlessly, without even expecting anyone to recognize him, neither friend nor foe. So, what is it? What is it that I'm going to be reading a little bit about from the these points from the Bhagavad Gita. So I'll be referencing from the Bhagavad Gita. Let me take out my Bhagavad Gita. So what is it that Vidur had? Because we have learned in our Krishna conscious life, in our KC life, that we are what our association is. So whoever we associate with, that is who we become. So Vidur here, practically all his life, he was associating with someone such as Dhritarashtra. And we know that Dhritarashtra was almost a personality of envy, and he was coveting the throne of his brother for so long. And because he was in that particular mode, where he was lusting after the throne, the kingdom, full of envy for his brother, and as a result, he had a son born. Well, he had 100 sons, the main one, and a daughter. So he had 101 children. But as a result of his envy, Duryodhan was born, who was the epitome of envy. He was, in fact, the incarnation of Kali Yuga. So Vidur was associating with such people day in, day out, every day. And how come he remained so devoted to Lord Krishna? Because we are told that whoever we associate with, we become. So, what was it? And I'm reminded of a class that I had heard from His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj. And in his class, he mentioned about the caterpillar. What he had said was that he had asked his audience in that class, he said, what is it that the caterpillar desires? What is the thing that the caterpillar desires the most? The whole time the caterpillar is crawling about, eating leaves and things, and some of his listeners, one of them said, oh, the caterpillar desires food the most. And there was a little bit of laughter, and he said, yes, actually everybody desires food the most. We want prasadam. So our motto for the day is give us prasadam. So, but actually that was not the answer he was looking for. The answer that Tamal Krishna Maharaj was looking for was that the caterpillar desires to really fly. The caterpillar desires to fly high. And what does the caterpillar do? Eventually, he builds up a cocoon. He spins a cocoon, and inside he hibernates in there. And after some time, he flourishes. He comes out of those cocoon, and he becomes a butterfly, and he flies. So this example was quite nice, and I thought about it, meditated on it, and I thought, let me mention this in my class. today, because this is what Vidur was. His innermost desire, his dearest, deepest desire was to be a devotee of Lord Krishna. It's to be a devotee of Lord Krishna. And so just like the caterpillar, he remained within his cocoon, desiring to be devoted to Lord Krishna. And therefore, his association of Dhritarashtra and his evil sons never touched him. So he remained exactly like that, of a lotus flower in the dirt, in the mud. And not a drop of dirt touched him. So this was the beauty part, and we can actually apply that in our practical life also, because generally speaking, we go to work, we associate with all kinds of people out there. It is a little bit, the association a little bit like corona. If we associate people with corona, we will get corona. So if you associate with people outside who are into all sorts of activities which is not suited for being a devotee, we can easily get into that habit. Mainly the 4 regulative principles, which is, as we know, no meat eating, no fish, no meat, no eggs, no intoxications, that means no beer, no alcohol, and no gambling, and no illicit sex life. Illicit sex life, we know what it is. So if we keep association with such people, we will naturally be in danger of losing our sadhana. So we have to be just like the caterpillar that His Holiness Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj mentioned, is to maintain that innermost desire of being devoted to Lord Krishna. And one day we will fly. Fly where? Fly back to Godhead. Or at least we will aspire, like we have aspirations, devotional aspirations of being a servant of Lord Krishna. We will get that devotional service that we aspire, the pure service, pure devotional service of Lord Krishna. Another example that I remembered from the Bhagavad Gita that I read some time ago was of Narad Muni. Narad Muni was born of a Shudra lady who was a servant of many males, and he was not sure who his father was. So, I mean, his association as a child was, his mother was all kinds of association, but he happened to be lucky enough to be in association of sages and rishis, and happened to eat the remnants of their Mahaprasad. And he, in that life, he wasn't able to get pure service because he was a child, 5-year-old, obviously, and his mother died. But the siksha was there from the rishis and the munis, and obviously the potency was there in their Mahaprasad as he had eaten remnants. So in the following life, he became Narad Muni. So the desire, this is the desire that I'm talking about. Another one obviously is Bhakta Prahlad Maharaj. He was born a demon. His father was a demon. So as they say, the chip of the old block, that's what usually happens, is a chip of the old block means like father, like son. So if whatever the father does, the son learns. And the son doesn't realize. He grows up and he's doing exactly what his father did. Chip of the old block. But Prahlad Maharaj never did, because he was devoted to Lord Krishna. Like the caterpillar, his desire, his innermost desire was to be a servant of Lord Krishna, to be a devotee of Lord Krishna. So I'm going to be reading a little bit from the Bhagavad Gita, some notes that I'd made on my iPad. So if you can bear with me, and I will read what I highlighted to help us this morning on a little bit about devotional service and how to get to that stage Oh, actually, I have got a highlight here just as a distraction about the butterfly. Let's see where we are. It's a bit of a... Okay, so this is from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8. And chapter 8, text 8. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada had written, one example often given is that of a caterpillar that thinks of becoming a butterfly, and so is transformed into a butterfly in the same life. So similarly, if we constantly think of Krishna, it is certain that at the end of our lives, we shall have the same bodily constitution as Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada actually, he actually expands on it a little bit. Like I was talking about desire earlier. But if we desire to be with Krishna, we can constantly think of Krishna, have him as an image in our mind, and we can achieve at the end of this life the bodily features of our life. In the same class, Tamal Krishna Maharaj was talking about a cat. If we had a cat, if a devotee had a cat, and while while he was dying, or he had taken, even though we chant all our lives, even if we have devotional service all our lives, at the end of our life, if we've got focus on our cat, who's going to look after our cat? Guess what we are going to become in the next life? We are going to come back as a cat. Actually, I had a personal experience also. I was in Fiji, and my spiritual master was visiting Fiji, and he was on his yatra from my hometown, Lautoka, to the capital of Fiji, Suva. And so on his yatra, he was asking which devotees shall accompany him, or at least be in the yatra, in the programs held in Suva. So at that time, I was free. I think I wasn't working. So I happened to visit him, and he said, well, Syamapriya, are you going to be coming to Suva with the rest of the devotees, the disciples? And I said, well, Gurudev, my dog is dying. I had a dog, a very old dog. And I said, my dog is dying, and there's no one to look after him at home. He needs care. And so essentially what I was doing was I was refusing Gurudev's invitation over a yatra, over a dog, over my dog. I was concerned that he will not be fed, and he's in his last days and he's suffering, and so he will suffer, and there was no one at home. In Fiji, we generally keep housekeepers who take care of all the jobs around the house, and they cook and they clean. And so my housekeeper at that time happened to be non-existent. I think I'm not quite sure why. But anyway, I was doing everything at home by myself, and including looking after a very sick dog. So I had refused to go on yatra with my guru over the dog. So Gurudev looked at me and he goes, Syamapriya, are you aware what you're going to become in your next life? And I was like looking blankly. then it dawned on me. And so my response to Gurudev was, I think I will become a dog in my next life. And so he asked me again, are you sure you know what you're doing? What are you going to become in your next life? Anyway, then I decided to pay somebody to look after the dog, the sick dog. Then I left for Suva. So I continued on the yatra, which was really good because I received a lot of mercy and a lot of fantastic association, because the devotees here are fantastic in Fiji. All devotees of Lord Krishna are fantastic. So you get all sorts. So I was quite blessed to receive that association. Anyway, so we've got to be really careful of our associations. So coming back to devotional service, how we can, what Krishna thinks of the devotional service. So let me go to that place here. So chapter 9, text 22, we shall wait. Text 22 says, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye janaha pariyupashate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yoga shemam vahami aham. What does that mean? He said, but those who always worships me. This is Lord Krishna saying that. So this is Lord Krishna speaking. Lord Krishna says, but those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and I preserve what they have. I'll repeat that. Those who always worship me with exclusive devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack, to them I carry what they lack, and I preserve what they have. And the purport says, one who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness, but cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours a day, being engaged in devotional service by chanting, hearing, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies, which make the devotee perfect in self-realization, so that his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, what happens to such a devotee? Such a devotee undoubtedly approaches the Lord without difficulty. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Shema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga. And when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition life. So, what is a devotee's greatest fear? A devotee's greatest fear is that he will forget Krishna, or he will fall down from he will fall down to material conditions. I mean, we are struggling. This is a material world. So, but it's mentioned here, Lord Krishna guarantees personally in the Bhagavad Gita. So whatever Lord Krishna says goes, obviously. He never lies. Lord Krishna, whatever he says. So Bhagavad Gita, we should take it as a spiritual law, basically. It's absolute truth, the Bhagavad Gita. And Lord Krishna mentions here that whoever practices the 9 devotional service, any one of them, the 9 devotional service is hearing or chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship and surrendering fully to the Lord. Any one of those. If we do that, Krishna guarantees perfection, and he guarantees that we will go back to Godhead. He guarantees that we will achieve him. In that 9 processes of devotional service, I remember Bir Krishna Maharaj, my spiritual master, had mentioned there is one activity that we do where we can cover all 9, the 9 processes. So the hearing, chanting, offering prayers, remembering, worshipping the deity of Lord Krishna, surrendering fully, all of those 9 things that we just mentioned. Serving at the lotus feet, making friendship, serving like a servant, all of those things. If we do this particular activity, we cover all the 9. And he said, what is that service or that practice or that activity that we do which covers all 9? And the answer was preaching. Preaching. When we preach the glories of the holy name, we cover all 9. So, if you really want to make sure that you go back to Godhead, or if you want full protection, preach the holy names of the Lord. Bring yourself to the platform of preaching. Obviously, I don't need to mention the Harinam Sankirtan, or the Sankirtan movement that we do. It covers all 9. So, our book distributors or those who are going on Harinam preaching the glories of the holy name, they're covering all 9. And such a person is very dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna himself. So we've got to chant. So if we want to reach the platform that I just mentioned earlier, like Vidur, that we reach that platform of fearlessness, where we are assured, 100%, guaranteed that we will not fall, that we will get full protection of Lord Krishna. We practice the 9 processes of bhakti. We chant. And chanting is the easiest. It has been prescribed for this age of quarrel and hypocrisy. And there is no other means of deliverance for the conditioned souls other than chanting the holy names of the Lord. There is no other way. There is no other way. There is no other way. It is the only way that we can deliver ourselves, is by chanting the holy names of the Lord in the form of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that's all we really need to do. There was one question in one of the classes, my spiritual master, the question was, there are 9 processes of bhakti. Do we have to do all 9 in order to achieve what we want, which is pure devotional service or full protection of Lord Krishna, or leave this material world and go back to Godhead, to the spiritual world? Do we have to practice all 9? And the answer was no. We can perfect ourselves by just one. Obviously, just like Prahlad Maharaj, he was delivered by Lord Krishna simply by remembering. So he was only doing one of those 9 processes of bhakti. He was just remembering Lord Krishna. Parikshit Maharaj was hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam from where we are reading today, and he was perfected. So we just need to do one. And the one that's prescribed for us is chanting the holy names of the Lord. Now, a lot of us are already initiated, and we are even not initiated. We may not be initiated. Those who are listening to this class, obviously you are chanting. So I'm not telling you anything new, and you must be thinking, oh, okay, well, we already know that we have to chant. The thing to understand is that whatever we are chanting, or whenever we are chanting, we must make sure that we actually continue, be consistent. That is the point. We must chant continuously, consistently, and without aparadh. That takes some time, because in the beginning we chant, our mind is distracted, and there was a joke by my spiritual master that his disciples in Fiji, they were chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra while watching Bollywood movies. Obviously, that's a no-no. It's very serious offense. It's a serious offense, because we are distracted. Inattentive chanting. So there are 10 offenses which we recite every morning. We have to take care that we have to be mindful that we are not committing those 10 offenses. We are not blaspheming devotees who have dedicated their lives to preaching the glories of the holy name. In other words, I think the main one, obviously, is Vaishnava Aparadh. Out of all those offenses, there is more. I mean, there is aparadh. I was listening to a Zoom class also, and there was a question. I mean, aparadh can even occur when we are doing our devotional service, like even on the altar, when we go on the altar. So there's always, we have to be mindful. We have to check ourselves. So in that sense, in that regard, our chanting will obviously be a quality one. Of quality, we'll be fully protected. So chanting is the way to go for us. So I'm going to read a little bit more about this devotional service. Chapter 9 is a really good one. My favorite one is most of my favorite Bhagavad Gita shlokas come from chapter 9. There is another one which is chapter 9, text 31, which is Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat shantim nigacchati kaunteya prati janihi na me bhakta pranashyati. This is my favorite one. I'm going to repeat this text, and I think everybody would love this one. Shipram bhavati dharmatma shashvat chantim nigacchati kaunteya prati janihi na me bhakta pranashyati. What does this mean? This means he quickly becomes righteous. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. O son of Kunti. So, son of Kunti is Arjun. Lord Krishna is telling Arjun directly, O son of Kunti, declare it boldly that my devotee never perishes. So, if you are chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and you become his devotee, you will never perish. You will never perish. What does that mean? You'll always, you guaranteed protection. So just like Vidur here, he is going on pilgrimage, and he is wandering about here and there. He's not even recognized. No one recognizes him, either friend or foe. No one knows that he is Vidur. But for those of us who are chanting, for those of us who have become a devotee of Lord Krishna, for those of us who are surrendered to Lord Krishna, we will never perish. It's guaranteed. And another very tangible proof, very interesting one is obviously that we are the soul. And the soul cannot be killed, soul cannot be cut, cannot be moistened, cannot be harmed, cannot be burnt, never perishes. You are the soul. You may have to change bodies from one to another. You die, but your soul never gets hurt, never is hurt. You never perish. So just imagine if you are a devotee of Lord Krishna, you will never perish. I had this question from a Mataji in Fiji while we were, making a garland, and she said to me, she said, I've gone through so many ups and downs in my life. Lord Krishna said that I will never perish. But why am I suffering so much? She said, I've got, this happening, that happening. I mean, everybody goes through something that's happening in their lives, and they go through all kinds of traumatic experiences. Somebody hurts them, or they lose a beloved person, or they become very sick, or they lose all their money. And they're saying, oh, well, I'm a devotee of Lord Krishna. Why am I suffering all this? Well, there are many reasons for that. One is that once you become a devotee of Lord Krishna, you undergo purification processes. You basically burn up all the karma that you have accumulated over so many billions of lives. Who knows how many lives we've taken. So you've got to pay back a little bit. So we are burning up that karma. But while we are chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we still remain a devotee, and Lord Krishna guarantees that at the end, whatever price we are paying for the karma that we've accumulated, once that's done, you are given a ticket back to Godhead. So it's a little bit of a patience game, so you've got to be a little bit patient. Another thing is we are preached, we are told, there's a very interesting word that I learned right on my initiation day. It's called equipoise. Equipoise means whether rain or shine, up and down, we remain stable, and we remain unaffected. It's a really difficult thing to do, because when there's things going around and we can't really keep our cool, we get stressed or we get emotional. So it's very hard. But if we maintain our stability, the only thing that we need to do is just be assured that Krishna is there. He's our safety net. So we are either suffering the karma that we've accumulated. Another one is Krishna gives us a challenge. The higher platform you are on, the greater the challenge the test is. So the caliber of devotee you are. Like for Haridas Thakur, Maya Devi herself, personified, came to test him. Maya Devi. And as you know, she's a very beautiful lady. So the biggest of stalwarts have fallen. But because Haridas Thakur was equipoised, he had full faith in Lord Krishna. He is fully surrendered to Lord Krishna. He never wavered, not even for a moment. In fact, Maya Devi ended up getting initiated by him. So we are not as great as Haridas Thakur, obviously, but we can learn from it, and we can maintain that faith. And while we're going through all these ups and downs, we have to remember this wonderful shlok that I've just read out to you, chapter 9, text 31. O son of Kunti, declared boldly that my devotee never perishes. So you've got to have full faith in that particular statement that Lord Krishna gave himself directly. He said that my devotee will never perish. I will look after my devotee. So with that note, we have reached 8:45. I think the time is up for our class. I leave you with that wonderful thought, to be like the caterpillar which desires nothing but Lord Krishna, so that one day we can fly back to Krishna. And with that firm faith that Lord Krishna himself said, in the Bhagavad Gita, it's recited there that, O son of Kunti, declared boldly that my devotee will never perish. So thank you for listening, and I will see you next Monday, hopefully. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Puran ki Jai. Hare Krishna.